Hello everyone and welcome to Time for a New Watch. I'm Jeff and today we are looking at the Khaki Field Mechanical, the 38mm no-date version which just came out recently. It's a great looking watch and let's get right into it with the case dimensions. It is 38mm wide, which is the same as the Khaki Field Mechanical date that is currently out. It is only 9.5 millimeters thick and 48 millimeters lug to lug. The lug to lug is a little bit long for a 38 millimeter watch, which makes it wear a little bit bigger. So if you have kind of bigger wrists and you're worried that this might be too small for you, you might be surprised. It may wear much better than you think. The lug width is 20 millimeters, so you can share straps with all of your other 20 millimeter watches, which is very, very nice. I love that. I have a lot of 20 millimeter straps, and I really appreciate that I can share straps with this. So you can see the case now. That is a bead blasted finish. It's not brushed, and it gives a very toolish look to the watch, which is very appropriate because this watch is based on a 1969 model that was produced for the United States military. So this is, it's got the DNA of an actual military field watch, and it just has that retro styling to go with it that I think looks great. And I love the symmetry of the dial when there's no date there. They just did a really great job with the whole feel of the watch. It's very toolish, of course. So next thing, we've got a hacking hand wind ETA movement here. So you can see you pull out the crown and the second hand stops, put it back in, keeps going. It's 28,800 beats per hour. So that's considered I guess today it's kind of considered average, but it's a high beat movement. It gives it that really nice, smooth, sweeping seconds hand. So it's hand wind, obviously. Very satisfying feel to the winding mechanism. It's ETA 2801, 42 hours power reserve. So that's all just about standard. Now being hand wind, that's why they were able to make this such a nice thin watch. You see that case back is very thin right there. And if it was an automatic, it would be a few millimeters thicker. So that goes right with the great styling and feel of this watch. Now, I've mentioned already about the vintage styling, so if you take a look, actually, here, let's get a better look at those hands. Let's separate them out there. So, yes. So, yeah, the styling. The dial is matte, the loom is vintage colored, there's that that lollipop type counterbalance on the second hand. It just all works really well together, I think. Like the matte dial, the vintage loom, and they didn't overdo it with the vintage loom also. I think it works very well on these little triangles around here and just in the hands and at the very tip of the second hand. That's the only place where there's any loom, and I think it looks really good. I approve of this use of vintage loom. It's not overdoing it. It's easy, the matte dial with the white numbers and everything, and the white hands, it's actually pretty easy to read in low light situations, but the loom itself is not going to do you any favors. It kind of sucks. It really does not glow much at all. It's bad. It's amphibia bad almost. Even, yeah, it's just amphibia bad. Let's go with that. So, let's see here. Signed crown. There are actually two versions of this watch at this point, even though it's only been out for a few months. If we can get a look at the case back here, you will see this kind of aviation style H, I think it's called right there, which is same as the signed crown. But in the original version that came out, they had an H on the crown and case back that looked exactly like this H on the dial. So if you see that version of it, then just keep in mind it's not a fake or anything, it's just one of the originals. Let's get this back on its strap, and I'll get to the strap in a minute. So this watch also has 50 meters water resistance, which is not a whole lot, but honestly, I don't think you need a whole lot with a field watch like this. It's not meant to be used for diving or anything. So, 50 meters is fine, I think. And also, the lower water resistance keeps the case thinner as well, which is very, very nice. We've got a sapphire crystal for the glass. It's just very slightly domed so that you can hardly see that it's domed, but it is domed. There is no anti-reflective coating, and that is one of the few drawbacks to this watch. You can already tell, I'm sure, that it is very reflective. You can see like my entire apartment back there, and it's like the very first thing I thought when I opened this watch up was, wow, that's very reflective. It just jumps right out at you. Like I said, another negative about it is the loom. It looks good, but it performs poorly. The strap fit. Now this is kind of, like, the strap is nice, okay? It feels good, it's high quality. They have leather keepers on a NATO. They have a nice signed buckle here. It's a nice quality strap, but it kind of works and doesn't work. When I wear it, it kind of, there's a tail right here that sticks out and cannot be tucked back in. Like the leather, like because of the leather tip here, it can't, it's difficult to tuck back into these thin leather keepers. I am able to use the strap by tucking it into this keeper because it's shorter than a regular NATO. Usually I would fold it over here and the tail would I fold it over here and the tail would go over here and it's fine. But in this case, the tail can't be folded over. It sticks out about this much, and that's all leather. And you can't fold over the leather. It looks kind of bad, and keep that in mind. You may not be able to use this strap. If your wrist is a little bit bigger than 7 inches, or you wear it loose, the strap is perfect for you. But for me, I kind of have to try to fold it over right here and tuck it into this keeper all the way at the end, which also is difficult because there's this leather, like the leather is stitched on right here, and that makes this thicker and harder to fold. So the strap feels great. It's a great styling and everything, but once again, functionally, just like the vintage loom, it looks great, but it doesn't function as well as we hoped it would. Now, the last thing about this watch, and we're almost done here, is the lugs. I love having these drilled through lug holes, but I'm going to show you if I can get this off of the NATO again. The lug placement is very near the edges, as you can see here. This means that it works great on a NATO or one-piece strap, which it does come with. However, if you want to wear a two-piece strap, there is a huge gap between the watch and the strap, which does not look good. And I tried it for one day. Like when I just put on a two-piece strap and put it down on a table, I thought, wow, that looks great. I'm gonna wear that tomorrow. And I wore it, and it doesn't work. When the strap folds downward, practically all you see is this gap. And that's pretty much it. So the styling, everything, it's very nice. but it has bad loom, a kind of wonky strap, and a large gap between the case and the lugs. So if you're okay with all that, I would highly recommend this for the price. Its retail is $475. I'm sure gray market and used prices will come down in the coming months, but right now it's still a little bit difficult to get your hands on one. But all that said, it's a nice watch. There was one other thing that kind of struck me about it. For me, it's a very light watch, but I think I'm very biased against that because I've been wearing a Seiko Marine Master 300 as my daily driver for the last couple months, and that is an insanely heavy watch. So now that I'm getting a real idea of how heavy this actually is, it feels pretty good. So this one, nice watch. I'd recommend it. Can't go wrong. So this has been Jeff. Thanks very much for watching. Time for a new watch. Go ahead and subscribe, comment, whatever. Maybe check out this video if you haven't, or possibly this video. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.